you want to see journalists tell a story as it is, and that you have noticed that there seems to be a deterioration in people's willingness to do that as journalism.
Yeah, well, it's, they call it the narrative. You have to be faithful to the narrative. And for the media, that means the left-wing narrative or the liberal narrative. And there was a case involved that I wrote about where a kid committed suicide in high school in Colorado. It always seems to be Colorado. I don't know why.
This was at Arapahoe High School.
Right, Arapahoe High School a few weeks ago. And he was described by a classmate as a socialist. And it was pretty clear. I mean, the guy knew what he was talking about. He was a pretty good friend. And I think the local media ran that. But then nationally, they made the effort to take the word socialist out and just called him opinionated. Well, that's not the story. The story was that his friend said he was a socialist. So were they mistaken? Well, you determine that before you run it. But I don't think they were mistaken. I think those were his sentiments. But the national media decided that that could not be in the story, and that's not journalism.
And again, we're talking about the mark of professionalism. I hate to sound like, well, back in the day, but there was a time when if something like that had transpired, if the wording of a story had changed, people would have noticed and they would have questioned why.
Well, now they call it airbrushing. It's when you change something or you leave it out. Well, leaving it out is one of the biggest weapons that the journalists have, is just not reporting things.